So as Melody said, I'm Jeff Manber, long-time space entrepreneur. I've been doing this since, I guess, we started doing commercial space in the 80s and 90s. And the biggest change, where we got to where we are today, was the program went from being a government-run program to one where government is a customer. And that is what we call commercial space. It's become international. You see the ecosystem that's being developed in Israel and everywhere. And it's solely because now throughout the world, the governments are the customer. In the 80s and 90s, the 80s, I was so embarrassed as an American from a spacefaring nation. We had one access to space, the space shuttle. And it really wasn't that good, sadly, as you well know. And today, we don't even know how many launch vehicles there are. Nobody knows, okay? And that's because of the commercial marketplace. And for you here in Israel, it means that it's a vibrant economy, a vibrant marketplace. You have the dual use. You have the I don't know if it's luxury, I don't know what, maybe the misfortune, or I don't know what, that you have two markets. You have the commercial, and you have of course, the military, and you have the close relations with the United States for today. Who knows? Don't change your name to Greenland. What I do this morning is just give you an overview of our company, Voyager, and walk you through it. If there's any interest, we'd love to talk to you and learn more about what you are doing. So Voyager is a fairly new company. We started 5-6 years ago. The founders, Dylan Taylor and Matt Kuda. Yeah, so Matt Kuda and Dylan Taylor started the company about 5 years ago with the concept of buying up existing commercial space companies and forging a company that would have a national security path and a commercial space. And it's succeeded extremely well. Probably it's doing better than they anticipated before. So this is where we're located, and Mathieu is here from our Torino office. We're working, very pleased to be working in Israel with the Ramon Foundation and others. So if any questions, if you don't get to me, you can get to Mathieu. And this just gives a highlight of our time scale and growth. The most important thing on this scale is when they acquired my company, NanoRacks, okay? Which of course is the most important. And NanoRacks, we grew it into the largest commercial user of the International Space Station. And actually, I shouldn't joke about it because it's hard to believe. But when we started NanoRacks in 2009, it was the first company in the world to own and operate its own hardware in low Earth orbit. I mean, that's unbelievable. I mean, younger people come to me and they just don't believe it. I mean, now you know there's hundreds and hundreds of companies all over the world competing, ecosystem, in-space services. But we had the idea, first I should say, it might be interesting for you. So before NanoRacks, I was the only American to ever work for the Russian manned space program for 9 years. I privatized the Mir space station. In 2000, I led a Dutch company, and we ran the Russian space station Mir for several years, put up a crew. And, you know, what I used to say in the 90s was if you want to work with the capitalists in space, you work with the Russians. And if you wanted to work with the socialists, you work with NASA. Okay, so, I mean, we ran a socialist program. It was government-owned, government-dominated, and the result was the space shuttle. That's a socialist government program. And so I was extremely upset, and I wanted to make our industry more commercial. And so I worked for the Russians for 9 years. I was present at the discussions for the International Space Station, but I was sitting on the Russian side and worked on the Mir. We did commercial, we did the tourism. We got ESA, European Space Agency, to pay to send astronauts to space. That was a breakthrough instead of diplomatic. And then when I returned to the States, a group of us set up nanoracks, and we owned standardized hardware, and it went on the just opened International Space Station. And within 3-4 years, we built it up step by step. There was no private capital in those days. There was no ecosystem. There was no incubators. There was nothing. There was no Aton. There was nothing. Okay, this is before BE, before Aton. Okay, so there was nothing. And so we say our first investors were Visa and MasterCard. And we convinced universities. I had permission. I signed a Space Act agreement with NASA that I would have upmass, astronaut time, big fights at NASA. Why should we let a private company have access to the space station? Why should we let a private company determine what payloads go onto the International Space Station? So we grew nanoracks step by step. And I hate to say this, but I think it'd be interesting here. We learned a lot from the Russians. It was perestroika, if you remember, and some of you read in the history books. It was a time when the Russians opened up, under Yeltsin, Gorbachev, they opened up everything, and space was one of the commercial markets. And the Americans watched. And Americans let me try with nanoracks. And as a result, we grew nanoracks into the largest commercial user of the International Space Station, with customers in over 30 countries. Largest piece of private real estate on the station is there, the Bishop Airlock. It was 25 million, built in Italy and the States, self-funded by nanoracks out of customers. And so we exist now. I sold it to Voyager 3 years ago, and I'll explain why in a moment. But we still have the capability. If you want payloads to go up to the station, we have the capability, and we remain the largest commercial user of the station. We also acquired companies beginning in national security. We acquired a company, Valley Tech, that does solid rocket propulsion. That's you can gimbal, it can maneuver in orbit. And we're now on the Lockheed Next Generation Missile Interceptor program. And we began to branch out more and more into international security. And then we won the contract, one of the teams, to do the next generation of the International Space Station. And I'll talk about that in a moment. So this is, I said, we have defense and national security. We have space solutions, which is our commercial space that has the nanoracks portion. And then we have my favorite, the Starlab space station. That was one of the things that has kept me in the industry, keeps me going, is I want to see Starlab realized. And Starlab, I wasn't expecting to give this. So this is the capabilities we have now in defense and national security. Again, if there's any interest, please reach out to myself or more likely Mathieu. And we're expanding. We just acquired a company, Exoterra, which does satellite engines. We're acquiring companies. We went public on the New York Stock Exchange in June. And so we're doing quite well. We're looking for non-US acquisitions because we believe today the proper way to grow. We want to grow. We want to be part of the programs internationally. And the proper way to do that today is not to open an office, put a guy from New York here in Tel Aviv and say we're an Israeli company. That doesn't work. It doesn't work with the supply chains becoming more sovereign controlled. It doesn't work with the way the industry is developing. So what we are interested in is, acquiring an Israeli company, acquiring companies in Europe and Asia. And so we're growing very rapidly. This is a little more on what we can do. Very interested in software, very interested in laser, quantum, the usual, the usual now. This is what we've done with the nanoracks, now part of Voyager. I think we're up to 1,300 payloads we've sent to the International Space Station. Even NASA at times pays us. This is an extraordinary fact. They 3-4 years ago, they had a payload. They had to get through the International Space Station quickly. And NASA paid us to get it through their system, their safety, onto their part of the station, our hardware, but they paid us to do it because we're faster than NASA. And why is that? I mean, I used to say, I don't know how this translates here, but it's FedEx versus the post office, okay, or DHL versus, yeah. So I don't know, but I think to this day, NASA's changed a lot. They're much more efficient now. But still, our customers include the European Space Agency, DLR, UAE, I can't think of others, and NASA there. So we have government space agencies who pay for commercial services as well. So we were extremely pleased to be awarded, the International Space Station is retiring. It's being deorbited in 2030. And the United States has determined that the next generation, the next chapter, will be one or probably two commercial space stations. And this mimics what's happened with launch vehicles. As I said a moment ago, as you know, we went from one launch vehicle in the United States to multiple robust launch space transportation marketplace. Well, I think the same's going to happen with platforms. We're going to start with probably two commercial space stations inhabited, human crew to replace the ISS. And I think then we'll rapidly move into robotic warehouses, fuel depots. So it's my strong conviction within 10 years, we'll have multiple platforms along with India. China today has a fantastic space station, the Tiangong. It's first class. The hardware is great. The research is great. I welcome the competition. For me, it's not political. I mean, it's just competition. And I always welcome competing against the government because you win every time. So I really welcome the competition from the Tiangong, but it's a beautiful station. So we have a business model you'll find interesting. There's two other major teams vying for the awards. One is a vast entrepreneurial effort out of California, and the other is Axiom, which has flown folks to the space station, has a spacesuit contract. We won, first off, we won the largest award. And secondly, we have a business model completely different. Our business model was we spun it out of Voyager, and we wanted partners. And so we went out, and our partners in Starlab include Airbus, of course, of Europe, Mitsubishi of Japan. We have MDA of Canada, they do the robotic arm. We also have Palantir for our logistics. And those are all investors in us. Those are all equity holders. We've also announced several $100 million in investment at this time. And then in addition, we have partners that have not made investments yet. Most important for me is Hilton. And Hilton came in and they're designing our crew quarters. And at first they were very, very nervous. I told this story yesterday. They were very, very nervous. I mean, the reputation of NASA, I mean, it's my God. And the chief architect, interior designer of Hilton came to the meeting and he saw how NASA has the astronauts sleep in like sleeping bags, vertical strapped in. And he's like, oh, we can do better than this. Okay, so Hilton is doing our crew quarters. So it's a different business model. Yes? Okay, it's a different business model in that they invest, and we've replicated the International Space Station partnership, although without the Russians. Well, they may have shut me down. Okay, is that it? Maybe that's it. I don't know. Maybe that's it. I wasn't going to give this presentation. I don't know. So I guess in summation, then we have three pillars. We have the national security, commercial space, and we have the space station. We own about 60% plus of Starlab. And we're very interested. It's a very exciting time in commercial space. I caught the end of man, when they shut you down here, they shut you down. Okay, I can take a hint. Good thing I'm leaving for the airport. Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess that's. I was going to end on an uplifting note, but I'll say that I caught the end of the investor panel. It's an extraordinary time to be an entrepreneur in space. And maybe for unfortunate reasons and uplifting reasons, but every nation in the world understands you must have sovereign access to space. Every nation in the world understands you need a regional ecosystem. You cannot rely on Elon Musk. You cannot rely on another nation. So it's an extraordinary time. Choose your investors carefully. Choose your first investors carefully. Be wary of big legacy companies, and I'm out of here. Thank you.